And we're rolling.
Here you go, bro.
Welcome to the Herbalist Podcast, everybody.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to lean forward there, bud.
Welcome to the Herbalist Podcast, everybody.
Hi.
I'm back again. Got Rob, PJ, and myself. PJ joins us today for a special edition of the podcast.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Mary Jane is with me. I am always doing good.
Yes. Yeah, we're all doing great today.
A little toasty. I'm a bit fucking tired. Still.
You shouldn't let Mary Jane whoop you like that, bro.
Yeah, for real.
Well, it's not even that, really. Actually, that's been kind of helping today with a little extra energy. I didn't actually fall asleep till like 3 last night, and then my body's like, hey, guess what? You're waking up at 7 this morning. You're staying up.
Right.
I've had days like that. I usually tell myself to go fuck myself.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing.
And then usually I go back to bed after I'm done fucking myself. I'm just saying.
I get to do that at some point.
Frank, I remember you going to bed and us having to get up in an hour, and then we dragged ourselves out of bed and went to work. So, I mean, you know.
Been there, done that.
I was younger than I am now.
I have to remind myself I'm old sometimes. I'm not old, but... Speaking of, though, we were talking about this earlier. I guess the history books are going to end up changing here in the near future to where the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s are now going to be taught as the late 1900s and not by decades. Because after a 25-year span, things are no longer current history. So that means if you are anywhere near the age of, let's see, what does that put it? What am I now? I'm 34. 34 to almost 24. You are now not a decade. You are part of a different century.
Yes.
Fucking weird.
Yeah, so finally you guys have hit the same category I'm in.
Speaking of...
I guess technically, yeah.
I mean...
Because up until what year were you born in, bud?
67.
Up until recently, they still taught 60s as a decade, so you're now getting crammed into that with all of us.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird.
It's crazy, ain't it?
Speaking of old, how you doing today, PJ? I couldn't resist.
Right? Well, at least it ain't ancient history.
Oh. Here's a little history fact for you. Did you know that Cleopatra lived closer to the invention of the iPhone than the constructions of the pyramids?
Yep.
Cleopatra lived 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pyramids are at least 6,500 years old.
Yep. And they believe the Sphinx is a little bit older than that.
Which means she wasn't born till 4,000 years after those motherfuckers were built, but only 2,000 years before the iPhone.
Now, you were mentioning conspiracies earlier. This begs the question, did the dynastic Egyptians truly build them, or did they find them?
Well, the interesting one is it took them up till about, the last 10, 15 years, a man went over that studies water to visit a friend that was studying the Sphinx. And he got looking at the side of the Sphinx. He says, you do realize that's water damage and
that's
wind
erosion.
damage.
That's water erosion, not wind erosion. Yeah, the Nile used to actually flow up along the Great Pyramids and whatnot. The whole landscape of Egypt used to look different.
They did something about, they brought up the Farmer's Almanac. They went back, how the Farmer's Almanac and stuff to try to figure how many years has passed since them Sphinx were underwater. Now, I've been brought up as a religious man, all right, but there's people out there trying to say that the reason why it's like that is because of the Noah story, that the world was flooded and stuff. All right, I'll bite on that, but the time frames don't match.
No. And honestly,
Well, I guess if you're all, because you got to bear in mind that when the Bible was written is different than this day and age. If you look at a lot of those texts, no matter what culture it's from, the apocalypse or any similar event that would be taught like that would be a world-ending event. We were still small tribes. Anything beyond a certain limit was the end of the world to those cultures.
And the way that people that are Bible believing, how they explain this time differences and stuff is evidently between the Old Testament and the New Testament of the Bible. There's what they speak of as a dark time, and there is no record to say how long that dark time's lasted. So anything in the New Testament, they can't really dictate what time it was. Like, let's be serious. We've been celebrating Jesus' birthday, Christmas, December. Alright? They're going by what they said at the same time period that this happened of what was growing. And they were going by that to try to estimate what day he was born on. They don't even know the true date of what they call their Savior's birthday. You can't even get an exact on that.
okay.
That's enough of the religion, and let's not slip into politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I wanted to make this podcast this week all about growing. That's why PJ's here with us. Rob, I know you don't have much,
I don't know shit about any of this.
Rob doesn't have much experience growing. PJ and I have been growing
I
weed.
help carry water buckets and plants when I'm needed.
Oh, excuse me.
That's it. I just like listening.
Okay. Just because of everything that's happened to me recently, disclaimer.
You want to hit this first?
Yeah, sure. Disclaimer. This is a work of fiction for entertainment purposes, quote unquote. Okay, now that we've got that out of the way. So PJ and I have been growing for a long time. Like what, like 6 years now?
Yeah.
Okay. And, tell you what, it's been a fucking roller coaster, that's for sure. You know? Yeah, definitely had its fair share of ups and downs. But, that being said, I do highly recommend it. It is by far the best hobby you could get into, in my opinion. It pays off in the end if you grow weed.
I was going to say I could debate you on that one.
Ooh, excuse me. Well, it's one of the best hobbies. One sec, people. Sorry, got a break for a bong.
I don't know why that reminded me. I still got to write the theme song for this thing.
Okay, so we're going to take you back to the very beginning. Now, I don't know if we're going to go all the way to the very beginning, but we'll go to the beginning of where I met this crazy old man. So, well, not exactly met, but whatever. So,
When we started our journey together.
there you go. So PJ and I met at work a while back, and we both had a mutual love for weed. Well, when I think it was when the pandemic hit. Was it when the pandemic hit, or was
Yes. Yes, it was right when it hit.
All right. So PJ and I have been growing faithfully together for 4 years now. So it was right at the beginning of the pandemic. We started growing together right at the pandemic because we didn't have nothing better to do. I had been growing for...
Wasn't it a little while before that, actually?
I've been growing...
I could have swore you guys were working on some stuff before then.
We were starting to grow shortly before that, but the thing of it was, well, it just so happened that people that were working at the time, we seemed to find funds. And I'll leave it at that.
Well, I think I know what you're talking about. That's what I mean. That's what I remember. That's what I thought you guys had started before COVID had fully hit.
Yeah, we started figuring out that we actually had enough money to actually get this started in time on our hands to do it, as Frank was saying.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And I think that was the one beauty about COVID. It gave birth to a lot of things because people finally had the free time to do things.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Well, COVID's when we ramped it into overdrive.
Yeah.
Because I was already growing. We were already doing some things. But then COVID hit. And we all got laid off.
No.
I didn't have shit to do. PJ had already gone for his... well, he didn't go for his surgery, but he was already gone dealing with all his health problems. So he was retired. He had a lot more time on his hands. You know what I'm saying? And I planted, what, like 100 fucking seeds that year?
And honestly, Rob is right. We started about 2 years before the pandemic because we were growing outdoors. Pandemic made us move indoors.
Yeah, because I remember you telling me those stories about where you guys would venture and whatnot. It was back when you were living down over there. Yeah, in the apartment complexes.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, because I think during COVID is when you moved from there to that one house that was over there. Over by the burned area.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But,
anyway.
Yeah, so we started really growing together about 4 years ago, I want to say. Maybe 5, I don't know. Who the fuck cares? Not important. But we planted like 100 seeds. Started them growing. We took them outside. And PJ had some experience with outdoor plants in his youth, but he was more of a point and click kind of guy. Like, you need something done, tell him what to do, he'll go do it. He doesn't
That's
know
what I do when I help.
He doesn't know what he's doing. He just does it because you told him to do it. You know what I'm saying?
It helps. It's called plausible denial.
Plausible deniability.
Yeah. That's usually what I claim if I fuck something up, because I don't fully know. I'm usually just brought on as the hired muscle. Which, if anyone knows that's listening actually knows us, I hope you appreciate the irony in that.
Yes. But, anyway, so we didn't have much experience with it. We went up there, we planted like 100 of these fucking things, right?
Yeah. And then threw out 100 more. Just spread them out.
Yeah, and then we just threw out seeds. Just threw them out into the fields. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember you guys telling me about that.
Yep. We grew one nugget.
That packed a
small bowl.
One person got 2 hits off of it, and that was it.
Out of all of them?
Out of all
of it.
One nugget.
We found out the water there was too much sulfur and stuff and too many chemicals into the hills.
Oh, okay.
From
so
old minings.
So we didn't realize it at the time, but where we were growing at, the hill that we were growing it on was an old coal mine. So it had...
That'll do it.
It had contaminated the area, and not many things really... I mean, grass was growing, some gnarled, mangly trees were growing. No,
it's corrupted.
Trees were growing, but if you remember correctly, when we got up in there really wasn't very many big trees. It was all small trees, like everything just kept dying and falling over.
Black and gnarled little thing in the middle of a vacant field.
No, it was full of trees.
Oh.
But not very big trees. They were all like, dude, we were cutting them down with hand saws in a matter of minutes.
It was a rugged land, but we had to survive.
That's not exactly rugged. You can cut down the tree with a handsaw in about 3 to 4 minutes. That is not rugged.
Yeah, right.
You're cutting the whole fucking tree down in 3 to 4 minutes, okay?
3 to 4 minutes.
With a handsaw.
With a handsaw.
No, and not just a handsaw, but one of those locking, folding blade handsaws that's got like an
One
8-inch
that's
blade.
on a utility knife.
Pretty much.
Kind of, but it's like this long, and then you unfold it,
Yeah.
and that's the blade. You know what I'm saying? So the blade's this long, and the handle's this long. You know what I'm saying?
For the
So-
people that realize they can't see this, Frank is making the measurement about 8 to 10 inches.
Yep. So it's got about an 8
And
to
for
10
those of
inch
you that
blade.
don't know what that is, get a ruler.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, we were using something that had an 8 to a 10-inch saw blade, and we were cutting entire trees down in 3 to 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay? Clue number 1. If the entire landscape is covered in trees that you can cut down in 3 to 4 minutes with an 8 to a 10-inch blade, and it's not a power blade,
Something might be wrong.
something's up with the fucking landscape. I probably wouldn't grow my weed there. Just saying.
Also, if there's a gentle fog encroaching while you're doing this, then definitely get the hell out of there.
No doubt. No doubt.
Especially if you start seeing these glowy things in the fog,
The
usually when they're-
deadlights.
Well-
Stay away from them.
Well, I mean, usually I see to it, they come in pairs, and they're red. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's Herbert.
Those are the eyes, usually.
Yeah, that's Herbert. He's harmless. He just likes to watch. It's kind of creepy. Good dude. Really good dude. One leg shorter than the other, but that's neither here nor there.
Really? I thought he had a peg leg.
That's what he wears in public. He's kind of self-conscious about it.
Uh,
Yeah. Hence why he hides in the fog. It's medical condition. That's why he's got the eyes like that.
So, we did all that. We went up there, God, what, like once a week? We went
Yeah.
up and checked those. We spent so much money on gas, so much time going up. Everything wasted just to go up there. It was terrible. So, what I'm saying is, don't feel bad if you don't grow very good pot your first time around. It happens. So, you'd think we would learn our lesson. We kept growing indoors, and we were doing some auto flowers indoors, and we were having like okay results. Like,
Yeah.
it was smokable. Let's just say that. You could get high if you smoked enough of it.
Enough.
Yes.
It was passable.
It was passable. It wasn't the best. I ain't gonna lie. I preferred to buy my own. I bought weed over smoking my weed back then.
And then, dum dum dum, in comes the pandemic. And
Yes.
we went full blown indoors. And then we started.
Well, no. You gotta remember, the next year we did not learn our lesson from the year before.
Yeah,
we decided to double down on that shitty hill.
Yes.
So the first year we grew nothing. So year number 2.
Wasn't that the year of males?
No,
The first year.
the second year was the year of the males. Everything that we had,
Yeah,
I
that's,
mean,
that's what I thought you were talking about was the second year.
that we had
First year
beautiful
was the one
females.
nugget.
And then all of a sudden we go to check them and say we only got about 3 more weeks, and
No. If you remember correctly, what happened was we took all of the photo periods. So what we did that year, because from the year before we planted seeds and we grew seedlings out there. So the second year we took plants out there that were like 2 to 2.5 foot tall and transplanted them into the ground. We were like, we're gonna give these motherfuckers a good start.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? They'll have a good chance at growing. So that was the year that something came in and we had beautiful female autoflowers growing. They were nice. And then I found some mold on one. So
Ooh.
we ripped it out of the ground and we threw it out. And then we come up the next week and one of them is tipped right the fuck over. But nothing had cracked the stem. No, we looked and something had dug it up by the roots. Yeah.
Now, we knew that there were deer up there. And he says, well, they'll eat it. And I said, well, we'll put some stuff around to keep them away, because if there's deer that hang out there, well, at least we know we ain't going to get snuck by a bear.
Yeah.
Because if the deer are there, there ain't going to be no bears around, because the deer wouldn't be there in the first place. So we were using common sense and stuff, we thought. But whatever chemicals are in there, it was like, bam, everything we had started turning into morphidites.
No. So all of the autoflowers, if you remember correctly, either molded or something dug them up. Every last one of those autoflowers.
Yeah, that was up in the farther up the hill in that backfield. I'm talking about the last 3 and 4.
The photo period. No, you're talking about the regular plants, the photo period plants. So yeah, those we got like 3 hermaphrodites out of it, and then like
some of them just grew male.
No, not some. A lot. A lot of fucking just straight males.
Yeah, I remember that. You're quite upset on that one.
Right, and like that doesn't even make sense, because the genetics, the probability of having females to males is just like everything in nature. Weed plants, birds, people, everything is predisposed to being a female over a male. Have you ever noticed that there's more women than there are men? And honestly, people say, oh, that's just a wise tale. No, actually, look it the fuck up. 46% of the population of the earth is male. Okay? If there's 46% that's male, that means there's 54% of the population that's female.
I do remember from...
46 to 54 makes an even 100.
I said 47.
No, 46.
Now, when I was youngin', the ratio, they figured it out. If you're going to grow a weed, you grow it in a set of 3s. Because at least 1 out of the 3 is going to be a female. And usually, you could get 2 and even 3 females out of 1 growing. But it was the ratio everybody kept, because at least 1 out of 3 is going to be a female. And
the golden ratio.
Yeah, and it was the generation before me that used to actually drag me out into the woods and stuff and show me the plants, and I helped them do those, and that was the ratio they always used. That's what I brought to Frank when me and him first started talking about it.
That's why we grew so many plants.
Yeah.
But the sheer number of males just did not make sense. Not for nothing. Nobody. Like, it was like we got 9 out of 10 that were fucking male. Like, that just doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It did this time.
Yeah, it did. Holy fuck, it did. At one
Talk
point,
about anomalies.
At one point, I think I actually just kicked the plant and started stomping on it because it was pissing me off.
Oh, yeah, he had a field day. I ain't never seen a woman at that time that can throw a tantrum like Frank can when he finds something like that going on. He trips out, guys. So let me tell you.
They were all male.
It was a good thing we were out.
Drama queen.
I'm telling you, it was a good thing
Actually,
we were out
I
in the
was
woods.
sexist that day.
Oh, boy.
I was real sexist. I was killing anything with nuts.
That's it.
I turned around and saw PJ, and he saw that look in my eyes. He saw that look in my eyes, and he said, "I'm not a plant."
That's it. Exactly. Hey, don't even look this way, bro. I'm
Get
not
your
a plant. Go back over. There's one right there. Go ahead, grab it.
I was ripping them out by the root. I was taking my knife and cutting them down like I was beheading them and shit.
But now, Frank, before we get into where we went all indoors with everything, along the way of starting it, we've asked a lot of questions to a lot of people. We went to people that I learned outdoors from. Why did this happen? Why did this go like this? They said, well, that's very unusual, but I have heard of it before. So Frank, being from the next generations after me, he says, dude, we need to go indoors where we can control it. Well, when you're outdoor, because of, situations about trying to grow weed in this country at the time, you didn't make too many trips around your stuff. You did it periodically, that way no paths, people can't find your stuff, whatnot. But when Frank started keeping an eye on it, then we started asking more questions. Frank is someone that, guys, if you ever roll up on Frank and you want to talk about it, this man will empty his brain to you. Believe me, stop, listen, write it down if possible, because the man knows what he's talking about.
And be cautious, because it just all kind of comes out. So really think about that if you want to open that door.
Yep.
That's a lot of information at once.
Yeah.
But now, every time somebody says something,
Oh, God, that hurt.
Frank will sit there and he'll take it all in. Anything that he has tried before, he throws it out if it doesn't work. Because we've got there's some people that, I don't know what universe they come from and why they would think that a plant would grow like this. But anyways, Frank knows better than that. Frank listens to things. But these guys also had heard from somebody that they did it another way. And Frank says, wait a minute. That accidentally happened at one of our spots. What if we try this? And believe me, guys, Frank and me have been through so many experiments.
The way I'm hearing this is, it was kind of like how I used to study and figure things out with what I do. It's kind of like just trial and error. Then you're like, wait, if I do this and this, I can intentionally get this result.
Yep.
Yeah, but I do want to put a shout out to anybody that has ever given us the good information or even talked to us about it, so we knew what not to do and what to try next. Anybody that's given us any advice over the years, thank you very much for your info.
Hell, I even appreciate the people who gave us bad advice.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I tried it. And you know what? I know not to do it again.
And
Yeah, you still learn from the bad shit.
Yeah, and we can still sit here and tell you guys exactly, we're not guessing at it. We've tried it. We know it doesn't work. And some of the things that we've tried and too many people have told us about the same thing, we've tried 2 or 3 times to make sure it wasn't our mess up.
Yo, you want to hear a real old wise tale?
Huh.
It's hard to take clones.
Yeah. Believe it or not, I'm guilty because I was told all my younger life, don't ever try to take clones. And I was told all kinds of crazy stuff. You had to have syringes. You had to have this. So I never bothered with it. I have a thing about needles. They don't come near me. So, no, I'm not messing with no needles. And
Yo, guys, I'm not even shitting you. One day, he told me this, and I said, what? And he says, yeah, you need all that. And I said, let me see your old dirty knife in your pocket.
Yeah.
And I took his old dirty knife out of his pocket and I cut a plant, not very well, at a certain spot, and I put it in a bottle of spring water with nothing else, just the spring water. About 6 weeks later, that bitch had roots on it.
Now, when me and Frank were first talking about doing this, he says, well, I was told, he says, we got that one right over there in the corner, PJ. He says, that was basically going to be just for me and him. He says, what do you think? And I said, go for it, try it. What's the worst thing we can have? We lose it? Ha, okay, we got another one to replace it, we're good. And so, he was showing me. And the only thing that I knew that was applicable to this situation as I knew about the stuff that you dip it in to make the roots come quicker.
Oh, yeah, the rooting hormone. So I've done a lot of things. So I can faithfully say, people say that if your clones don't grow after 2 weeks, throw them out, maybe 3 weeks. I will tell you that that is a load of shit.
Yes.
Okay? As long as your clones still look healthy, do not throw them away, even if they don't have roots on them. I have had plants in little planting things for 2.5 months with no roots, and then one day they just spontaneously grow a fucking root. You've seen it.
Yeah.
It happens.
They're a little shy sometimes.
Yeah.
Performance anxiety.
Yeah. But they're still living. They're still absorbing nutrients. You know, I get that it's not the way that it's designed, but it's transitioning. Damn it, it's going through a metamorphosis. Let me bring y'all back to it. What are we here today doing? We're on a podcast. What is a podcast about? Well, it's called the Herbalist Podcast. It's about weed. Weed.
Yeah.
It's generally about an hour.
Weed. What is that? Well, that's what we're smoking. But why do we call it weed? Oh, I don't know. Because it's a fucking weed? Have you guys ever gone outside and actually tried to kill weeds?
Not lately.
It's very hard to get rid of weeds out of your lawn, is it not?
That's it. Because a weed can grow anywhere. And honestly,
Anywhere.
over the years, I figured out that you got to be...
All the delicate flowers
love your
that'll
Mary Jane,
die
guys.
if the soil's too pH is off by 1 point. Then you got fucking dandelion. Ooh, concrete.
So that's another thing right there. People are like, oh, your weed won't grow right if the pH is off. Oh, you have to have perfect this. No, let me put an old wise tale to bed here, okay? Your weed will grow in literally unfertilized soil with water. It will grow. Trust me, I've fucking seen it.
Won't grow well, but it will grow.
It won't grow very well. It will not grow very well. And it'll be sickly, and you're not going to grow very good bud out of it. But it'll grow.
Now, here's my personal, the little engine that could. I had planted some plants. I was a late teenage years. I had to go on a trip for work. I was going to be gone for 2 months. Couldn't take care of my babies. So what ones had plants growing out of it, I went ahead and just yanked up the plants, got rid of them, took all my pots out, put them in an under the house garage, no light. I come back from my work thing 2 weeks later, and I had a plant about 6 inches high with no light whatsoever.
Oh, shit.
It happens.
Weed will grow anywhere. As long as they're getting anything, they can go without sun for a while. As long as they're getting their water and what nutrients out of it they need. They can go out without their nutrients and water and stuff for a little while. As long as they got the sun,
some air.
Air.
As long as they got a little something.
And let's be serious, Frank. Me and you have gotten busy sometimes, and we can testify that we have definitely seen it.
Listen, it is very, very hard to kill your plants if you actually try.
A little background sound effects we just
Jesus Christ.
I'm done. I'm done with that.
Anyway.
I'm not answering.
Okay. Where were we?
Weed. But no, guys, if Frank tells you that he is definitely sure on something, post positive, believe me, the man has tried it and figured it out. And he loves spreading his knowledge, as even Rob can. Because I'm old school, and Frank gets into such detail that sometimes I just nod my head at him because I have no idea what all these numbers and stuff.
It's like listening to me talk about theory.
Yeah.
But now, I know now, all the people I've known in my life, I couldn't have picked a better grow partner.
Yeah.
Honestly. Because now, guys, we put some stuff out there that, we have had Frank take a picture with a bud that's the size of his head.
I believe that one's actually the podcast logo.
Yeah, that's right. I did see it on there.
Yeah.
But we had 3 plants, and we didn't think that we were going to get much, and all of a sudden they took a burst. Frank had been messing with the different, levels that of nutrient to put in and stuff, and they had been talking to a lot of people, and was testing it out. And the next thing we knew, these plants gave us so much that we were starting to give it away to our buddies and close friends as Christmas gifts, we'll say.
I got 27 ounces off of 3 plants.
Yes.
That was ridiculous.
That's fucking nutty.
So, a lot of people out there, it doesn't seem like much. It's less than a pound a plant. But you've got to understand, when you grow indoors, especially in the space that I have a 5x5 tent that's 80 inches tall. So any idiot will tell you that
Well, I'm an idiot, but I don't think I can tell it.
Dead air. Ba 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 ba.
Sorry about that, folks.
Banana.
Any idiot will tell you that you can't really grow a plant that tall for a couple of reasons. Everyone thinks, oh, you got 80 inches to work with, so you can grow an 80-inch tall plant. Okay. Where's the light going to go?
Bingo.
Okay. The light needs a spot in that room. You have to put a light in that room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Then you have to have the space between it and your plant.
There you go. It cannot just be right on top of the plant. That'll burn the plant. All right. So right there, you're losing about 1.5 feet, 2 feet.
Yeah.
So, you got 80 minus 24. You're left with 46 inches. You can grow a 46-inch tall plant, right? Where's the dirt going to go? Dirt's got to go in a pot somewhere, doesn't it?
Somewhere.
Yeah.
That's going to raise it off the ground, isn't it?
Yeah.
Probably about another 8 inches. You're looking at about a 3-foot tall plant. Those are what you can really grow indoors. You might be able to push 4 foot, but that's being comfortable. I've grown some like 5.5 foot tall plants in these rooms. They are tricky. You get them that tall, and guess what? You're about like 1.5 inches, 2 inches away from those lights. They are starting to get hot. They are.
They get a
starting
little
to
crispy.
burn.
I have seen that.
Yeah, you got to pull them shits down. Now you're into what we call LST, low stress training.
Yeah.
You know what that is? That's when you take and you bend it and you tie it down, and it'll grow like that. The stem will harden, and it will grow the way you bent it. There's a couple
back upwards.
There's a couple of other training methods you can do too. One of my favorites is actually an old school method where you take your fingers and you rub the stem back and forth. Oh, excuse me, right where you want to bend it over. So you rub the stem back and forth gently. And you just keep rubbing it until it's nice and pliable, and then very gently you bend it the way that you want to bend it, and it kind of kinks. Now you got to be careful not to crack it, alright? But when you do that and you bend it very carefully, it'll kink and it'll form a knuckle. You've seen the knuckles. You've watched me do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You've been like, hey, what the fuck you doing? And I'm just like, oh, I'm just, bending it over.
Yeah, it's the same concept. Kids, when I was young, when we first started smoking cigarettes, you hotbox it, take a few good hard hits off it,
yeah.
and then you can take the cigarette where the filter is and actually bend the cigarette straight up and have the filter coming out at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, you ever seen that,
and
Rob?
it doesn't break the paper.
No, I've never seen that.
You've never seen that?
I'm about to light a cigarette.
I was gonna say,
I'll show you, Rob.
Okay, I'm kind of intrigued.
Yeah, I've actually done this before. Just because it's cool. It's a cool little party trick.
Then you walk around with the filter out your mouth and your cigarette sitting right up by your
No shit.
Yeah.
between your eyes and stuff, and people looking at you funny at the party and stuff. But they get it because you're about the drunkest person in there, anyways.
Most likely. Yeah. But yeah, so that was one of our first forays, actually. So that was one of our first forays with our Mars Hydro light system,
Yes.
actually. And I'm sorry, PJ, but I gotta say this. I get that I haven't had a lot of time lately, but we got better results with the Mars Hydro than we did with the HLG.
Yeah. We definitely have. We've had more plants in there, but until that, but that was the Mars that was in that back tent, wasn't it? That when we come up and it was actually growing out the damn door, and we hadn't been there in a week.
No, that was an HLG.
That wasn't on HLG.
Yeah. They're all under HLGs now. I was told, and I've read the specs, HLGs are supposed to be better than the Mars Hydros. But I'm sorry, I pulled like 24 ounces off of a single Mars Hydro, off of a single grow.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've come close to that off of an HLG.
No, we haven't. Not at all.
I'm talking about the light itself. Because 27, I pulled 20 ounces off that one light. So 1 pound, 4 ounces off of one light. It was on 2 different plants, if you remember correctly. There was 2 plants in that room. And I don't think I've ever gotten close to 1 pound, 4 ounces off of a single grow with the HLG. And they were touted as a better light, and everybody said it's a better light. Every last person. And the best part is I think the weed is the same potency. So it's not like it's growing more potent weed either.
Right.
And we're still growing the same strain. It is a clone.
One of these podcasts, what you really need to do is take what research that you already know and stuff and figure out the classic.
What?
How to make your weed more potent. Old timers will sit there and tell you stress it a little bit.
Yeah.
The more
I can even tell you that.
The more you abuse it.
Well, I've watched it firsthand. Like, my favorite one was that one really small little plant you had that got, I can't remember how long ago it was, but that thing got put through hell and it ended up being stunted. I think the whole thing was probably about this from the base, like the bottom of the pot. It was about this big, but it had a good yield, and that was some of the best you had gotten out of that batch.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of my damaged plants will be,
Strong.
yeah.
Very strong.
Yeah.
And I can attest to this that Frank has grown the same strand a few times in a row. And honestly, he messed with it every time. Every grow. He was trying something new on these plants because they were very abundant for us to get a hold of if something went wrong. The thing of it is after he messed with it, I swear to you guys, we could smoke some out of the first one and the last one, and the last one was more potent, and it's off the same strand.
Peculiar.
And like he said,
Oh, stuff like that. I do that stuff all the time.
yeah, but you can actually, here, let's see.
I almost got it facing me.
Let's see, are you done yet? Yeah, right there's the end of the filter. But you can set the thing like this.
Oh, shit.
And when you straighten it right back up, you can look right at it.
Huh.
I have done it with a joint, but it was totally on accident. I walked into a door.
Oh, at least it didn't
There
break.
you go, PJ.
Oh, now I've not gone that far. Now you're going to get your nose if you do that.
Yeah, right. He loves the smoke. He gets it as he's drawing off the filter, and then the rest of the smoke, the second-hand smoke, they say, is going up his nose.
Yep. Anyway, now that we're done fucking around. Yeah. So now that I got off that side tangent, I'm really going to have to test my HLGs, people. Because HLG has been touted as a better light. And I got to say, HLG is American made. And it is slightly cheaper than the Mars Hydro has been lately. But that's because they've been running a special. However, I believe the HLGs are made with Samsung 301 diodes. Where's Samsung? Where do they come from?
Mm-hmm.
They come from Asia. I think it's Japan, right? Right?
Mass production.
Would it not be cheaper for China to get stuff from Japan? I mean, just for feasibility's sake, you know, being the fact that they're literally neighbors.
Yeah.
And they'd have to ship things across the Pacific Ocean to us. Doesn't it just seem like China would get those diodes cheaper from Japan than we would? Also, we all know that Chinese labor is cheaper than
Not
American.
necessarily. They hate each other more than they dislike us.
Yeah.
They always have hated
True,
each
true.
other.
But and that's why a lot of
But
stuff.
I'm
Have you
literally
noticed
saying-
recently stuff like that's been being found where it's coming from Pakistan and even Taiwan? I remember Taiwan as a kid. Any of these little trinkets and knockoffs that you had of stuff seemed to be made in Taiwan. Now you find
we don't want to talk about Taiwan. Taiwan's what's going to start World War III.
Oh, here we go. We done slipped into politics, guys.
Back to lights.
Anyway, my point being is the American-made light, which has the diodes from Japan in it, is $50 cheaper than the Chinese one. Because Mars Hydro is a Chinese company. I looked into it. So we all know that American-made is usually better. Usually. But I'm not entirely convinced in this instance. We might need to test our lights again, because...
I think we ought to start a new project, dude.
What?
We make our own lights.
Oh, God, no.
Hey, dude.
God, no. Do you realize I don't even know the fucking specifications, because each one of those diodes is either 1.5, 3, 5, or 10 watts. And then you have to discern which light spectrum that you're using for which diode. Is it the red spectrum? Is it a 600 spectrum? Is it a 660 spectrum? Is it a 720 spectrum? Because you need all those spectrums. Now you have to discern what spacing to put it at. Now you have to figure out which ones to do that with the blue ones with, and then with the IR and the UV ones. And no, I'm good. I do not have a degree on how to do that shit.
And if you're going that far, you got to figure out how to actually build the thing. Much less the actual science of it, but physically build the thing.
I don't talk about this too much anymore. I think, Rob, you might even know this. I went to school to work on airplanes.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I had no idea.
Yeah.
No shit.
Some of this stuff is right up
Oh, okay.
our alleys. We've
Didn't
actually
you
made
deal with air?
Yeah, but the equipment that we use to test aircraft and stuff.
Well, yeah, so
we
you
have a
could
mag
build
timer. It comes in very handy, especially when you're trying to change a aircraft engine from running diesel to, regular fuel.
BJ,
Yeah.
you could build it.
Yeah.
How do we make it work?
How do we make it work? Believe it or not, you can run the same ballast.
No. That's not what I mean.
All right, what are you saying?
We gotta go back to the questions I was just asking.
What?
Now we need to know the science behind it. Now we need to know what
Research.
light spectrums to put where to do what.
Research.
I don't know that shit. How do we know we're right? And how do we know we even got the right research?
Trial and error.
I don't got that kind of money to spend. It's just gonna be expensive. I'm just saying. We got a lot of logistics here that we gotta figure
we
out.
already got our blueprint, bro. Remember? We had a light for 3 years and it just stopped working. So, there's our first part.
He's not wrong. I mean, what's better than a blueprint and research than reverse engineering?
This motherfucker is gonna come over here and mad scientist the fucking
MacGyver.
He's gonna mad scientist to grow light here, people.
MacGyver.
We're gonna
The
have
MacGyver memes when it comes to pods is generally pretty well accurate.
my bad.
And I can honestly tell you, people, more than likely it'd be a project just to see if we could do it. I think we can.
Hey,
Because he might be talking, I'm getting all scientifical and everything. Frank's got me beat hands down on that. So with your knowledge and
one condition.
my understanding of a welder, soldering and stuff.
On one condition. If we build our own grow light, the first plant we grow under this light is Freak Show.
We call it Freak Show?
No, there's a plant out there called Freak Show.
Okay.
And we go get the plant and we grow it under our Freak Show.
Okay. Agreed.
Everybody, we are going to build a grow light.
Cool.
So, there's one problem with this, people.
What's that?
I don't like playing with electricity.
That's all right. I'm looking at a man right across this coffee table from me that just loves playing with electrical stuff.
I don't like playing with electrical stuff. It's just a part of my job.
Yeah, right? So,
I could not tear any of this apart and tell you how any of it works. I can plug it in and I can hit record. I could not take this microphone apart and put it back together. I'm not a technician.
I could take the microphone apart.
You're like me. I can't build you a car, but I can drive that.
Pretty much. I mean, I'm a producer essentially.
Bro.
I can make you sound good with the tool. I know how to use these tools. I don't know how to make and put these tools together.
Yo, I could take this apart and tell you how it works.
Yeah, you probably could.
But
I got notes somewhere actually on how these work because of Full Sail. Actually,
I intentionally left a word out.
I missed it.
Never said I could put it back together.
I figured that.
yeah.
But no, I can. What you guys are talking about, essentially, I do that with the actual music. I'm more into the theory and they refer to it as a theoretician. I like understanding like the theoretics and how things work in music. That'd be a subject for another day.
Anyway.
But that's what we got going right now. We got the hypothesis. All right.
No,
You're going to sit
no,
there
what
and
is
think
our
about
hypothesis?
this, that we can build our own light. Now, we
Is that
have...
a hypothesis?
It's a theory.
It's a theory. All right, there's our theory man. Now, he gets the idea...
Well, I kind of love the fact that you're explaining it this way, because that's how I like explaining music theory to non-musicians, is it's kind of like science.
Yeah.
There are no actual governing rules to music or certain things. You got your general principles. So, like with the light, you got your theory. And in my case, song idea with all these principles and whatnot. Then you get your hypothesis. Then you start conducting the experiment, and then you get your end result. Now, in your case, it's going to be to see if you get a working light that works right. My end result would be a passable, pleasable song.
Right. PJ, you know what would be a fail?
What's that?
If our end result is fire.
Yeah. All right.
Or a trip to the ER.
But now, see, you take the theory of it. You have a way of explaining stuff, and what you hear someone tell you, you can give a theory about that. This man sitting next to me, Mr. Frank, he has a scientific mind.
How did I describe it the one day? The difference between how we do things. Yours is a what is it? A practical science, and mine's more of an applied science, where it's more cerebral.
There you go.
Quantum physics versus biochemistry.
Oh my God, we're building the Big Bang Theory. Oh my God. But now
I hope we do get listeners that listen along this far, because now we're getting into the big brain words.
Right? But now I have the experience and the understanding. He's going to tell me exactly what we need and what we do, and I'm going to be the one that's going to figure out how we're going to get it done. Just explain it like my dad, who was in the Marine Corps for many years. There's the right way, the wrong way, and then there's the Marine way.
Oh boy.
So there's a right way that's going to work, and then there's the wrong way it's going to work, and then there's the Marine way. We're just going to make it work.
No, I got a stepbrother that's a Marine. It's not really that you make it work. End result, it shouldn't work, but it does work.
Yeah, that's a helicopter.
Exactly.
Why does a helicopter work?
Yeah, in theory of what the airplane mechanics, builders, and everything, the formula that they use to figure out flight, a helicopter on paper should not work.
A helicopter doesn't fly.
It hovers.
Actually, a helicopter swims.
Yes, better analogy.
So, believe it or not, if you look at the way a helicopter moves, it actually swims through the air.
Oh, its blades are kind of going like this the whole time, like wobbling.
When they want to go forward and they want to go fast, that's
down.
when their nose is tipped down the most, because their big prop has to catch more of the air to cut through it.
So
I never thought the term would be swimming.
So they swim through the air because an airplane uses forward momentum and thrust, and it uses air passing over the top of the wing.
Thrust, drag, resistance, and slope. Yeah.
Yeah, the air passes under
Basic
the wing
aerodynamics.
faster, and it passes over the top of the wing slower, and it raises the underneath of the wing. All right, so
lift and drag.
And a helicopter actually, like, you know how you grab and pull water? A helicopter grabs and pulls air.
Oh, yeah.
So it swims through the air.
Just never thought that would be the term.
Well, what they say is it's weight to lift to thrust. That's the main formula to figure out how a plane goes. Alright. Well, the helicopter, they can't figure it out properly because
It has no thrust.
there is no thrust. It actually pulls its. He's correct. That's why they tip down. It's to put the big prop, and it changes the angle of attack. That means the bite ratio that each blade takes out of the air, the blades will tip a little bit, rotate, to make it take more of a bite out of the air or less of a bite. I'm glad they figured it out, though, because I love a helicopter now. Think about it.
Well, I mean, technically, if you really want to think about it, it still is a form of thrust. Because if you go back further, because you're still using jet planes as a comparison, but prop planes, it's basically the same idea as a plane propeller, but instead of it being in front, it's on top of the thing.
Right, exactly.
And the counterbalance is different. Instead of the lift and drag being controlled on the flaps of the wings, it's controlled on the sides of the propeller.
You know what I just thought of? How many times in human history have we invented something and we were like, sweet, this is fucking awesome?
Da Vinci thought of that one.
Why does it work?
Yeah, right.
Like, no, seriously. The inventor of the helicopter. He was
Da Vinci.
like, oh, this is amazing. Why does it work?
Da Vinci's notebooks.
Yeah, but seriously, how many times in history have we invented something that was like completely changed our entire world and we had no idea how it worked? We put it together and we're like, why do I know how to put this together? How does it work?
Yeah. That's what the basis of a helicopter. In theory, by what? Everything on paper
that's probably
says
what
that it's...
AI would be.
Yeah.
So we really don't know fully how that works. That's a whole different level of questions and
We went a
whatnot.
long ways from weed, didn't we, guys?
Yeah, we did.
We tend to do this, so
This all came about because of the light.
yeah. And now we're getting into the realms of possible digital sentience.
We are one step from
And the
quantum theory.
Or one step from getting out of the eye of the storm.
Something like that.
Anyway, but, so back to what we were saying before somebody got me talking about building my own grow lights.
What were we talking about before
We were
that?
talking about grow lights.
We were talking about grow lights. So, yeah, so after we, this would be called the Davinci Code, by the way, episode 4.
Oh, okay. I like that one.
It just kind of hit me as I was sitting here.
I like that.
So, now that we're back on track,
Back to growing.
yeah, so that was our first foray with photoperiod plants. Photoperiod plants are plants that are dependent on your light cycle to bud. Ooh, excuse me. Anyone know what the two types of photoperiod plants are?
No.
Yes, you do.
Do I?
Yeah, you do. You don't know it, but you know it. You hear it all the time. That's what everybody asks for.
Oh, jeez. Really?
Yep, there's two types of photoperiod plant.
Isn't there technically 3 then?
Nope.
No?
There's indica and sativa.
What about rudolus?
That is not a photoperiod plant. I think
No?
that goes that way.
I know, you're closer.
So, rudolus is an autoflower. Rudolus is the autoflower, okay? That is the third type of plant. Photoperiod plants are dependent upon your light cycle. If there's more than 14 hours of light, it will not bud. It'll just keep growing. It'll grow more stems. It'll grow more leaves. If you're
It'll
wondering,
become more plants.
if you're wondering why your plant won't bud, it's because you have too much light on it. You probably have a light leak somewhere. Plants need
You have a
rest.
light leak.
Yeah, I am a light leak. Anyway, but yeah, as soon as you get under 14 hours, it'll kind of transition. But once you hit 12 hours on a photo period plant, 12 hours of light, 12 hours of darkness, that's when the magic happens. The magic will really happen at that 12-hour mark, and then you'll start getting some buds, start getting some hairs. They go through what I've called the stretch. I don't know if anybody else is out there, yeah, hit me up on Facebook. Let me know what you call it, but I call that transition time. I know a lot of people call it the transition, but I call it the stretch. Okay?
Or send it in the email because it's listed in the description on the YouTube videos.
Oh, yeah. Hit me up on Facebook or send it in the email.
That one I put your personal email for, so
oh, okay,
you'll
cool.
be able to actually hands-on be able to talk to these people.
Oh, okay, cool.
Awesome.
F-Treat 91, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so, yeah, I call it the stretch. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, too,
Yep.
just because I've talked about it so much.
Yep, I like that term.
So, everyone, I've always heard it called the transition period. So, everybody, when they take their plants from 18 or 20 hours of light and they put it in 12 hours of light, they think, oh, this is the day it started flowering. Wrong. Your plant goes through a transition period. It's usually between 1 to 3 weeks, depending on the strain of plant. In this 1 to 3 weeks, your plant is going to grow anywhere from 50 to 75% the height that it is now. It's going to add that much to it, all the way up to, like, I've seen 300%. I've seen a 1.5 foot tall plant become almost 5 foot fucking tall in 3 weeks. You've seen it. It's fucking ridiculous. I call it the stretch. Alright? Now, that is basically all your... It's basically all your height. That's as high as you're gonna get. Not as high as you're gonna get, but that's basically as high as you're gonna get throughout your entire grow period. You're going to add a couple more inches and whatnot, but most of your growth is going to happen during the stretch. Most of your upward growth. That's when your plant stretches.
I think I missed my stretch cycle.
You might want to go back and revisit that.
I don't think I can.
You know, some stretch more than others. You know, some don't get that big. I'm sorry, Rob.
It is what it is.
Right?
I'm a short little plant.
He might have been starved for nutrients when he was younger, people.
As long
That's a whole nother can of worms I'm not going into.
Anyway, so, yeah, I call it the stretch. It's the transition period. It's that time between veg and flower. So, you can't count flower. So everyone's like, oh,
I can only count to 4.
Everyone's like, oh, I've been in flower for like 61 days. I'm getting close to harvest, right? And I'm like, so it's been 61 days since you put it in the dark room? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that's been like, 47 days of flower. And they're like, well, no, I put it in there 61 days ago. And I'm like, well, yeah, but it went through the transition phase. That's an entire 2 weeks that you can't really count. Right. See, I don't start counting true flower until I start seeing the first hairs.
Yeah.
And after that, you can faithfully say that it's going to be between 60 to 90 days after that, and you'll be cutting it down. Anywhere from 60 to 90 days. And honestly, most plants nowadays, because we as a people are impatient, humanity is impatient. We hate waiting. Well, some of the best weed out there used to take 80 to 90 to even 120 days to flower, right?
That's why, even if it's a hobby, I usually recommend people get into something like this. That way they learn a semblance of patience.
Yeah, but
whether it's like gardening or some form of art or martial arts, something that takes time and practice.
So you want to hear one?
I get high.
You want to hear a good one, Rob? You want to hear patience at its best? Some of the best cultivators on the planet used to take 120 days to flower. Some sativa cultivators, which everybody goes nuts for in this region, they used to take a full 6 months to flower. You would not grow these things unless you had a warehouse to grow them in. Or like a room. You wouldn't grow them in your house. Your house is too short.
Or
You'd
you
need
hire-
like
So like all the ones you see in like the media and whatnot, those big elaborate grow rooms where it's a
Yeah.
whole fucking room.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
You need like 12-foot ceilings to grow sativas.
And that's why people in California, they always get about 4 of them, and they go camping, and they stay with them the whole time.
Okay.
Actually, that's a myth.
What?
Well, what you're talking about is true. People do go out and camp with their plants all the time. But everybody says, oh, sativa weeds, they got to be grown in California because, the climate and whatnot. That's a myth.
That is.
Do you know where most sativa weed comes from?
Now?
Believe it or
No.
not.
No fucking clue.
So, because of what I just said, because we have crossbred and hybridized our weed so that most cultivators now take about 60 days to finish after they start flowering. This is human patience. We have literally cut the bud time in less than half, and we've retained most of the potency.
Yes. Because we've actually grown both indica and sativa.
Yep. And they both take about the same amount of time to flower nowadays.
Yeah.
This is because neither one of them is indica or sativa. They are all hybrids.
Every last one of them.
Every last
Yes.
one. They're all hybrids. Let me explain. If it was a true indica, it would flower in about 45 to 55 days. It would be done. It would be about 3 to 3.5 foot tall, and you'd be cutting it the fuck down. I swear to God. It would be done. Because that's how that plant developed in the Hindu Kush mountains of India and Pakistan. That's where it got its name.
We're about 12 over.
Oh, no shit.
See what happens when I start talking about
Sativa?
airplanes?
Sativa, that shit takes way too long to bud. So, they crossbred it. So most all of your indicas and sativas are hybrid. The only thing that really matters anymore is your terpene content. How much of which terpene does it have? Because all of it's hybrid, okay? What you're looking for is who's driving the bus. Are you looking, is Cheech or is Chong driving? Is Cheech driving? You're going to go listen to a mariachi band, a little bit of partying, doing some dancing, maybe fuck your old lady at the end of the night. Or is Chong driving? Are you about to stare at the fucking TV and not move?
I was gonna say, Cheech like punk rock.
It's an analogy. Cheech is sativa and Chong is indica. Like,
Yeah.
let's be serious.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Alright.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah,
So-
what you're talking about, the hybriding.
Yeah.
Alright. During my late teens, early 20s, if you handed me weed, I could definitely tell you if it come from the Carolinas.
Yeah, now you
It
can.
had a certain taste about it. I could tell you if it come from California by looking at it and the taste of it. I could tell you if it came from New York. I could tell you if it came out of the country. Probably couldn't told you what country it come from, but I could tell you it wasn't local. And you knew weed that come across the Mexican border. Now, I have actually smoked weed very recently that if it was 20 years ago, I would automatically said it come from North Carolina because it had a little bit of the taste. But I looked at it and it ain't from, it wasn't like how I would describe a Carolina weed back then. This hybriding is, I like the ones that they get the best of all of it.
So, you know where the sativas are grown?
The best ones?
No,
Canada?
most of them.
Most of them? Canada?
Nope.
Wait a minute, wasn't that Alaskan thunder? You know, wasn't that from
That's from Alaska.
wasn't that a sativa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know where all the sativas are grown?
Where?
Right here.
Oh, in New York?
Most all your sativas are grown in New York or in the Northeast. Do you know why? Because you feel free to look this up, but I'm 90% sure on this. In almost every other legal market in the United States, indicas make up 70% of the market. Sativas are 30% of the market in all of the legal markets in all of the United States. Except, drumroll please, New fucking York. New Yorkers don't like to go to sleep, people.
That's it.
There's too much shit to do over here.
We got New York City, for God's sake.
Do you know how much? So in the legal market, do you realize that between 70 to 80% of people, when they walk into a dispensary, will immediately ask for sativa?
Yes. I've actually been at places around New York State now, and each time someone has come in while I'm browsing, you've been with me at a couple of them, someone will come in and specifically ask for sativa.
You want to know what's funny about that? I don't like sativas. Everybody likes a sativa. Oh, I gotta have that sativa. You know what I like?
I like indica myself.
So do I. I like to be put the fuck down.
Yeah, that's why I smoke it.
Yeah.
You know what I like?
What's that?
I like a good hybrid.
Oh. It's
Nah, I
a
like getting fucking smacked.
No. You guys don't get the joke.
No, I got the joke.
Back to what I said 30 minutes ago.
everything's a hybrid.
Everything's a fucking hybrid.
All
Oh,
hybrid.
I just like good weed. It's all hybrid. Every bit of it's a hybrid. Stop asking for indica or sativa. Tell me what the terpene content is. I want to know what the terpenes are. Am I going to go to sleep after I smoke this, or am I going to look like I just smoked some fucking crack? Okay? What's in it?
Oh, I don't know what this, the last time I took a trip out of town, whatever it was that I left with, I think I could have ate McDonald's out of business. It was every
Then
time.
there's some of those weeds that don't make you tired or give you energy. They just make you hungry.
Yo, I haven't had one that's given me the mad munchies in a while, and I'm kind of scared when I do again.
Oh.
I got my appetite back. I'm afraid of how much I'm going to eat.
What is today? We're about in September now, right?
Yeah.
Give me about 3 months, bud.
3 months. And you'll have one that will give me the munchies.
Most likely.
Because honestly, guys, I weigh
scared.
150 pounds soaking wet. And I sat there for dinner one night. I told her I was going to McDonald's, grab something to eat. I bought 5 cheeseburgers, a large order of fries for me, a large drink, and 2 apple pies. And I put it away 20 minutes after I walked in the front door.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Now, that was to hold me over until dinner.
Jesus.
Alright.
I was a pig. I can eat.
Wow.
When I smoke that stuff, dude, believe me, I can eat what someone 3 times my size eats.
Well, these guys done sidetracked me. We're already at like an hour and something, people.
Oh, we're in 20.
Yeah, so we're only about halfway through the whole growing thing.
We will probably revisit this next week.
Yes. Thank you all for tuning in.
Yeah, you need to go into the when you decided to dabble into the outdoors again.
Yeah, that was fun. I'll let y'all in on that next time. That was whew. So I took my to be continued.
To be continued.
Let some suspense build on that one. Have a good night, folks.
Later.